radio is AD on the radio.
Today on the show, how a sinister side of the internet could be invading your kid's life. Plus, you can own a piece of a Wiz Khalifa song, and Anthony Scaramucci can now make big bucks off of his 10-day political career. Not only that, Funkhouser is talking to investors.
Crunch these numbers, gentlemen. I would like to become a hip-hop mogul.
Haha.
Welcome to the future, where the glass is half full and you'll need new glasses, where you'll be jumping from conclusions.
The past is a null, and a new future is born.
Never before in history has so much meant so little to so many. AD on the radio.
So I got the most disturbing message this morning from a concerned mother. And it really made me stop and think. There's this app, Saraha. Have you tried this, Funkhouser?
Saraha, no.
I think that is how you pronounce it. I don't know. But there's this app, Saraha, and what it's meant to be is, and I, every time a new form of social media gets any kind of steam whatsoever, because of the way broadcast media goes, I got to get it and I got to be on it just in case it turns into the next Twitter or Snapchat or whatever the hell it is. So I've got probably about 20, 30 social networking apps that have been opened like once or twice on my phone and just die to death. But this Saraha thing seems to be getting a little bit of steam. And what it is, I suppose the real hook of it is that it's anonymous. You ever tried this? There's similar apps. I think this one's probably done it a little bit more cleverly, but basically you can set up a profile. And I think it started out as an idea for businesses to get honest and sort of honest feedback. And so you start a profile for yourself or your business or whatever the hell you want to do, and people can anonymously message you, and you can't message them back. So it's really just a way for, and you know what? I think in a way that's beautifully productive, because so many people get into arguments online. Like, I don't like this that your business did. And, you know, you'll see the comments go for a year and a half on Google or Facebook or Yelp or whatever the hell it is. But in this one, it's a comment, and the person who owns the account can't respond. And so it's a way for people to anonymously message other people, which is kind of cool, I suppose. You know, you get anonymous messages. You can tell people things that you wanted to tell them, but could never tell them anonymously. Do you see the appeal in that, Funkhouser? Mm-hmm. So I've had it for literally about a day now. And yeah, it's kind of cool. I mean, let's see. Let me open it up. What do I got here? I am one of your hugest fans. I love to hear your point of view. You are extremely good looking, and I could only hope to take you to lunch. Oh, that's nice. Thank you. Thank you very much.
That was for me. By the way.
Oh, thanks, Funkhouser. Thank you for providing listeners with more background on artists and how they were inspired to write their music. When I do music radio, we talk a lot about the stories behind the songs and the music. And this person said it gives a different aspect and meaning to the stuff that we've been listening to. So I can see where it would be productive. Hey, people like to hear, you know, I always enjoy telling the story of something that maybe you've heard 1,000 times, giving you something new to like about it. And so it seems like other people enjoy that too. That's where I guess something like this could be productive. I have a 12-hour workday tomorrow. I'm having trouble falling asleep. Let's see. Oh, this one's nice. You're literally the most hardworking, talented, and kindest person in this entire universe. Says someone who clearly has never met me in person. We need more people like you. Keep doing what you're doing. All the love. P.S. Love the podcast so much. Oh, so you might be listening to this over podcast. Thank you, anonymous stranger who contacted me over Saraha. You just gave me, and by proximity, Funkhouser, the warm and fuzzies about what we do. And then there's people that don't get that you can't respond to things. I know this because someone said, do you like Donald Trump? And like, I can't respond. Another person said boobs or butts. How could you possibly ask me to choose between those two things? Boobs. And so, like, it's kind of fun. Your show is a joy to listen to. I love the music you play. Great, cool. And look, this has been, I've had it for a day, and I've gotten sort of people saying nice things to me. That's cool. I guarantee you there's going to be someone be like, you suck. You never play the records. You're an idiot. I hate the way you talk. I hate the way you breathe. I got that once. Someone was like, I don't like the way you breathe on the air. I was like, sorry, I'll just keel over of oxygen starvation. Will that make your listening experience more pleasurable? Like, you can't make everybody happy, because ultimately there's got to be that one person that will go, you know how you breathe? I don't like that. I really can't do anything about it. I have asthma and a deviated septum, and nobody else has complained about it ever before. Sorry. Wish I could accommodate your desire for me to not breathe, but that involves going down a road I don't want to go down. So there you go. So I'm having a little bit of fun with this new app, thinking maybe this will catch on. And it's interesting to see how these things develop, because all these apps are really just sort of like data collection. Let's get like a bazillion people to use this, and then we'll track their behavior. We'll see what they like, and then we'll sell data off to people that are trying to sell them things. It's interesting. And then I got a message from a mom who said, please, it's cool that you're on this app, but you're an adult. You have to let parents know that this app is out there and this app exists, because a lot of people aren't aware. My child is a kid that suffers with social anxiety, or suffers from social anxiety and Asperger's syndrome, which is a very highly functioning form of autism that is not necessarily always easy to pick up on, but if you're dealing with it, you really know about it. And she said that my kid had this app and showed me that her classmates were telling her to hang herself. And all of a sudden, things got a little bit more real and a little bit more dark. And I knew we had to talk about this on the show today.
Real radio.
104.1.
Where the left and right come together for fundamental truths. AD on the radio, on Twitter at ADSXE.
So it's been a day since I started messing around with this anonymous messaging app, Saraha, which, in case you missed it, is this thing that allows people to tell you things anonymously. You can't, at this point, respond to them. But I think it was developed so that people could get feedback in a corporate setting with regard to their products, or perhaps with regard to their company, sort of like a market research tool. Now, people get a hold of this, and it's a way to tell somebody something that you've always wanted to tell them, but have never had the guts to say to their face. And we've been messing around with the app for like a day or so. And people have been, for the most part, very nice, saying they enjoy the show, saying they enjoy the music I play when I'm on music radio stations. And that's really cool. And I actually did get a useful piece of feedback. One listener said that they liked hearing the stories behind the music. And occasionally when we do music radio, we talk a little bit about the inspiration behind songs, or how someone came up with the idea, or what the song was actually about. And it's always cool to be able to give somebody something new to like about a song that they've heard 1,000 times. That's fun stuff. So it's useful. But then, as I was saying, I got a really disturbing message from a concerned mother who said, you have to make an announcement about this. You have to let people know. If you're using this app, that's cool for you. But I have a child, and that child suffers from social anxiety disorder and Asperger's syndrome. And her classmates were telling her over this app to hang herself anonymously. Now, the app's called Saraha, and it's one in a long line of anonymous messaging apps. There's all sorts of iterations of this, and there have been for numerous amounts of years. And I guess maybe people are a little bit more emboldened because of the anonymous factor. And this can't be, hey, this app must be shut down. This can't be that conversation because, well, you could shut down Saraha and then a bazillion other apps will take its place. What it is a conversation about the fact that in this, the digital age, and it's funny because I talk to the parents of my young cousins. I'm like, how do you do it? You know, you've got girls that are, 12, 13, cell phones, apps, Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, all the above. And the answer I always get is you got to get out in front of it. You have to make sure that you're involved in your child's life. There's no way to monitor absolutely everything a kid is doing online. It's just impossible. So you have to do that thing, parenting. And I'm not saying that the woman who brought this to my attention isn't parenting. She's absolutely parenting. And she is letting people know that they should be parenting too. Part of parenting, I guess, is being aware. Being aware that in the digital age, you can't deal with what your kid gets into by hiding the nudie magazines under your shirts. You can't control what your kids get into by leaving it on a high shelf, by locking it up. The information is out there. It's plentiful, and it comes from a new, different digital source every single day. And people are going to have the ability to communicate with your child, whether it's classmates that would say horrible things to your child, like this kid had to experience, or it could be some sort of predator, or it could be some sort of information that they're just not ready for. Something on YouTube about something horrible happening in the world. I remember my mom once saw me staring at the TV, watching a report on, various reports. I remember it was war, people dying, Ethiopia, people dying. And my mom went, hey, maybe that's enough news for a while now. And I was really just waiting until my cartoon came on. I was very, very young. But there was news before the cartoon, and I wound up watching it, and couldn't do anything about the fact that I was affected by it. And my mom went, let's give this a break, and maybe we should talk about some of the stuff that you saw. Click. Turned it off. But it's not as simple as turning off the TV now. This stuff, it's happening whether you want it to happen or not. Your kid has access to this stuff whether you want them to or not. And people have access to your kid whether you want them to or not, in a way that they did not have in the past. So I guess this was a bit of a reminder to parents when this happened this morning. This was a bit of a reminder to parents that parenting in the digital age is something where you basically got to do what you should have been doing the whole time. And I'm not saying you have or have not been doing this, but parents must be involved. Parents must know what's going on in their kids' lives. Parents must know how their kids feel. You've got to have a good and open and honest relationship with your kid, because other people will have one first, and you don't want that.
Money making, skills on the mic, keep me paid every day, and out of the battle, just bow down, better act like you know. Come on.
For more stimulation and less irritation, 9 out of 10 doctors choose KPRC AM 950, Houston's more stimulating talk radio.
Don't get the blues, get all the news. We mean all of you guys out there in Radioland. All aboard!
He's back. AD on the radio.
Give it up, yeah. Give it up, yeah. Bring this on, come on, come on. That's the way you do what we do. That's the way you do what we do. That's the way you do what we do.
So, isn't there a quote in the Bible about us living in a cashless society? Like, it's sort of like the end of the world. Lots of people have said that, it's one of the signs that everything is going to hell in a handbasket when we live in a cashless society. And don't you find that we're kind of getting closer and closer to that? I have been working with the folks that look after Metallica on the Metallica show that's rolling through town. We're actually probably going to get a chance to talk to, I think it's going to be either Kirk Hammett or maybe James Hetfield from Metallica sometime in the not too distant future. Really excited to bring you that interview. But it was so funny. I was talking to we did this really cool Metallica pop-up store, which was great. Metallica, I gotta tell you, they do such an incredible job of looking after their fans. They do such an incredible job of making it top to bottom a great experience dealing with the Metallica organization. And it really has become that. They've got their own record label. They've got their own merch company. They are this self-contained behemoth of an industry. And one of the reasons that they've grown to a behemoth of an industry is that they make it awesome for every single person that is plunking down $1 on anything Metallica related. We did these Metallica pop-up stores, and it was really, really cool to see lines outside the street and people all sorts of stoked to check out Metallica memorabilia on the walls and maybe get that rare piece of new wave of British heavy metal vinyl that Lars Ulrich put together and pulled out of his personal storage space. It's cool stuff. But I remember talking to some of the guys that work there who've been in the game for a long time. And they're like, ooh, it's a whole different world now. Like, kids walk up with their phones, and it's different from having had $1 in your pocket. It's different from having had $1 in your pocket or several dollars of babysitting money in your pocket and going to buy a T-shirt for $15 to $20 when you're at the concert. He was like, a kid came up to me the other day. He was like, you take Apple Pay, right? And he was like, we don't at the moment, but we should. We should absolutely take Apple Pay and Samsung Pay and all of the above. But I was like, it's interesting, though, isn't it? It's interesting how money is more of an idea and less of a thing that you hold in your hand these days. There's a quote in the Bible about a cashless society. And the guys are like, yeah, no, we totally know that. And we think Metallica might have put that in a song, actually. Well, I mean, there you go. We are moving to this phase of our lives where money is more of an idea. You don't necessarily handle it. It's sort of this thing that you see on your phone. I mean, it's changing the way we all do things. Digital spending. Look, who wants to go to a store and buy something? Then you have to drive. You have to, even worse, park. And then the worst indignity of it all, you have to deal with people who are, let's be real here, in these settings, the worst. You want to deal with people in a retail setting? No, you don't. You want to be able to, from your couch, in your underwear, covered in potato chip crumbs, watching TV, order whatever the hell you want on your phone to be delivered directly to your front door. That's what you want. And it's an interesting one because it makes money less this thing that you hold in your hand and more this vague concept. Transfers that you're seeing done on your phone without $1 ever coming out of your pocket or your wallet or without you ever touching a coin. And it's weird. As money becomes a more and more vague concept, money isn't so much a piece of paper as it is a promise in this day and age. Money's not a thing. It's an idea. And as it becomes more vague of a concept, I start to think, does it really, cosmically speaking, matter if I don't get up and go to work today? It's an interesting one. And things are changing all the time. And I thought this was especially interesting. You can now buy a royalty of an artist's music. You ever heard of this, Funkhouser? You ever thought of maybe doing this?
What?
Yeah. You can now buy a royalty share of Wiz Khalifa's song, See You Again. And when I read this, I was like, wow. You can now buy a royalty share of someone's intellectual property and creation and performance royalty. That's really fascinating. And we're going to talk about that a little later on in the show today. Right now, though, let's get to the news, Funkhouser. What's going on in the world?
We'll start with football news here. Tom Brady just turned 40.
Oh, happy birthday, Tom Brady, 40 years old. He'll easily extinguish all the candles on his birthday cake by using the air from deflated footballs.
Never gets old.
He's 40?
Big 4-0.
Big 4-0. I think out of habit, though, he deflated his age and told everyone he was 35.
One more?
Go on.
No? Okay.
No, I got that.
That's enough. Ryan Lochte turns 33 today. Yesterday.
Yeah. Coincidentally, I think 33. Also the score on his last IQ test. You see how he got in on Phelps bashing when Phelps raced the shark, close to racing any kind of shark ever. He was like, yeah, he could never beat a shark. Like, shut up, Swim Shady. Like, what the hell are you doing? Like, quieter still. How about we just keep our mouth shut at all times and stick to swimming? What else?
Older people are dying on the job at a higher rate than others.
Oh, well. Thanks, Captain Obvious. Yeah, I think scientists believe that this could possibly be caused by the fact that they're, older. There was a study dedicated to this. I'm not giving you a hard time for reading that in the news, Funkhouser. I'm just boggled by the fact that there was research on this. You know who dies sooner? Old people. And sometimes they die on the job sooner. Yeah, the plot thickens. You can read more about this study in the new issue of Chewing Through Our Grant Money So We Get More Next Year magazine. Go on.
Scientists have successfully awoken life forms that were in a state of suspended animation and technically dead. Whoa.
Oh, wow. The implications for this are absolutely huge. They can now awake something from suspended animation. Technically, they're dead. Now they're alive again. It's time to thaw out Walt Disney's head.
That's exactly what I thought when I read that.
Really?
I'm like, yeah. Walt's coming back, everyone, and he's going to be upset.
Man. Well, they can bring things that were dead back to life. There's hope for the Democratic Party after all. Go on.
The Reese's Peanut Butter Donut will be in Krispy Kreme stores this Friday. The Reese's Peanut Butter Donut.
And the Krispy Kreme closest to me will be completely out by Friday night. That's like my favorite. Like, I don't. Do you like chocolate? I don't love chocolate. Like,
same.
My candy kryptonite is fruit candy and sour candy. Sour Patch Kids, lemon heads, gummy anything. Swedish Fish, I don't even know what the hell that flavor is supposed to be. Like, it's not fish flavored. What makes it Swedish? I don't know. It's just the color red, and the color red is delicious, and that's what I love. However, you get me anywhere near the combination of chocolate and peanut butter, and it's gloves off, my friend. And the gloves will not be on because they will no longer fit over my pudgy little fingers as I double fist Reese's Peanut Butter Donuts into my mouth as fast as they'll go. That sounds delicious. Hold on, I'm still thinking about it. Okay.
An Arkansas man was arrested after he was caught on camera having sex with a neighbor's donkey.
Oh, God. Talk about a brazen act. I was gonna work in a. I was gonna work the word burrow in there as well, but that might just kick off the air. Go on.
Al Gore's home reportedly devours 34% more electricity than the average home.
So this is one of those statistics that gets floated out there where it's just like he's the guy who's all anti-carbon footprint. He's the green dude. He wants to save the earth. And people love to go, well, your home devours 34% more electricity than the average home. If we're talking about the average home, I'm going to go out on a limb and guess Al Gore's house is at least 34% bigger than the average person. Now, look, the responsibility to your carbon footprint remains the same, but I don't think it's the scandalous smoking gun that the right is looking for on this one. 34% more electricity than the average home. And you know what? That's probably just his ice cream maker.
He's a little pudgy. Scaramucci could make $75,000 a speech.
Well, it's probably because he finishes his speeches off by doing the fandango. How much? $75,000 a speech? All right, this is it. This is why I get so effing angry all the time. Like, look, Anthony Scaramucci spent a whopping 10 days. Whopping 10 days. That's now a unit of time being measured. As I'm making tea now, I counted down. 1 Scaramucci, 2 Scaramucci. Okay, it's okay to take the tea bag out. But Anthony Scaramucci is a guy who got involved in politics for 10 days. got all sorts of headlines, grabbed all sorts of attention, and now could make $75,000 a speech, which, by the way, with a Scaramucci speech, works out to about $1 an F-bomb. But, that's... And this exists on the left and the right. And in general, politicians, I think, fall into this category. Not funny, but want to be famous, talentless, uninteresting, can't write a song, can't write anything more interesting than a policy document, and even that you foist off onto somebody else. But you still want to be known, you still want to have the spotlight on you, you still want to have people paying attention to what you say. Politics. If you are a fame whore, yet talentless, it's a great way of getting that sweet, sweet spotlight that your sadly crumbling ego craves, to the point where you're willing to do things like go be Scaramucci on camera. And you know what? It works. It works. And it's like Newt Gingrich. Same thing. Same freaking thing with these guys. There are politicians that want to serve the public, that are driven to serve the public, that have a sense of responsibility to the public. On the left and the right, this exists. It's rare, but it exists. And I think the longer you're in politics, the less of it you have, because your principles just get eroded when you enter that world. It takes a strong-hearted individual to hold on to any sense of real principle and responsibility once you're surrounded by that world, I would imagine. And most politicians, they're just kind of there. They're not strongly principled folks. They don't really believe in anything. They just really want to do something with their lives. And if it involves people paying more attention to them, so much the better. But when Newt Gingrich, oh my God, Newt Gingrich, do you remember this? Do you remember when Donald Trump got elected president? Newt Gingrich's agent, who books him on speaking tours, you know, like if you want Newt Gingrich to speak at your high school graduation or your college commencement ceremony, or you want him to come to dinner and say a few words, like this actually happens. People get paid. Politicians get paid to go to dinner parties and stand up at the head of the table and say a few words. Well, there's a price tag for that. And you might recall that Newt Gingrich, his agent, sent out a memorandum when Donald Trump was elected president. And it was just like, hey, you know, you were thinking of booking Newt Gingrich. Just so you know, his price, because of his special relationship with Donald Trump, our president, has gone up significantly. Just by knowing, just by rubbing shoulders with Donald Trump, just by being in the same room as another person who is more famous than you all of a sudden get more to stand up at dinner parties and say a few words. It's disgusting, and it is the motivation behind 99.9% of political careers. But it's ridiculous. Scaramucci could make $75,000 a speech. Ridiculous. And look, I know there's going to be people that say, well, you know, he was a very successful Wall Street guy before that, and, you know, he could have made money talking. Yeah, I know, but not this much. It's 10 days. A unit of time which will forever be known as a Scaramucci. His 10 days got him a $75,000 speaking price. Whew. It's crazy. Absolutely crazy.
How do we get that?
I don't know. Not like this, but, you know, we'll just trudge it out, looking for truth, justice, and the American way, not pledging allegiance to either side of the crazy political fence, but doing our very best to find the truth and bring it to our listeners every single day. There's not a lot of money in that. You don't get big speaking engagements by being the voice of common sense in this world, but somehow it is a little bit more fulfilling for one's soul. Go on.
Well, President Trump is reportedly trying to impress his new chief of staff, General Kelly.
Yeah. This new chief of staff, General Kelly, he's a no-nonsense guy. He outed the mooch. He was like, no, this is not cool. I'm a general. We do things a certain way. And President Trump is apparently trying to appear as though he's a real man to General Kelly. But unless he can do what Steve Bannon allegedly does to himself, I don't think Kelly's going to be impressed.
To get washed away.
Now, more AD on the radio.
Back once again, the ill behavior, delivering and giving you a musical savior. Back once again, it's your boy AD, and can't nobody rock a body better than me. Back once again.
So financially, the world is changing. Do you know what a Bitcoin is, Funkhouser?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a form of internet currency. That thing recently split, meaning its value got to be big enough to where it is now it's very, very impressive. And it's weird because, like, if you bought into Bitcoins like a year ago for a very small amount, you are now, at least in theory, not even on paper, in the digital space, you're doing very, very well for yourself. But it is an interesting one because that idea of money being more of a concept than an actual thing that you hold in your hand now. It's fascinating stuff. And we're living in an ever-changing financial age. And it really came home to me just how much that was the case when I found out that you could now own a royalty. You could now own a piece of a Wiz Khalifa song. Did you hear about this? We'll get into it a little later on. It's fascinating. It's kind of mind-blowing. And interestingly enough, I realized it's something that David Bowie came up with years ago. Again, the guy was so far ahead of the curve. And people are just now picking up on how smart he was 10, 15, 20 years ago with his forward thinkingness. Right now, though, let's roll through what remains of the news. What else is going on, Funkhouser?
Well, the producers of Kevin Can Wait are killing off the wife character.
Yeah. Yeah, did you hear about this? So, did you used to watch King of Queens?
Mm-mm. I mean, a couple of times, yeah, it was on.
I love King of Queens. Like, I think Kevin James is absolutely, he's so funny. Like, people have actually noticed, they're like, I love how you say vacation and suntan lotion and sweet vindication on the air. And that's 100% quoting Kevin James and King of Queens. Chamonix. He's hilarious. And King of Queens, I thought, was freaking fantastic. I never watched Kevin Can Wait, but the concept was a similar one. It was a guy that lived in either Long Island or Queens, and he was a retired firefighter or a cop or something. Like I said, I haven't seen it. And it's basically figuring like he takes early retirement and he's trying to figure out what the hell he's going to do with his life. And similar to King of Queens, he has this wife who was, a lot of people thought, part of the bit. Hey, he's got a wife that's entirely too attractive for him. That's cool. By the way, anytime you ever hear a fat joke made about Kevin James, he's made it about himself. Did you ever see, he was in some movie where he became a UFC fighter and the love interest was Salma Hayek? Did you ever see this movie, Funkhouser?
No.
It's one of those movies that you definitely watch for free on a plane. Like, that's where I saw it. But it was actually pretty funny. It was kind of a cute flick. I don't remember the name of it. But Kevin James got into, look, if you're going to be believable as a guy that UFC fights, and if you're going to be believable as a guy who could attract the romantic attentions of Salma Hayek, you got to get into slightly better shape. And he did. It was amazing. I think he was on Leno or Letterman or something like that. And like, man, you're in incredible shape. You've lost so much weight. So much weight. And he's like, thanks, but it's all going to come back again. There's nothing I can do about it. Like, it just will. And then, like, how did you lose the weight? And he was like, well, I use those George Foreman grills to cook all my food. You ever tried them? That was that seemed to be good. He's like, when you cook like a steak or something in it, the food winds up tasting kind of bland, but the dipping sauce in the cup at the end, mwah, that's delicious. You don't get that, Funkhouser? That's the grease trap where all the fat's collected. Me, Kevin James, Leno, and everybody else watching it that day thought it was funny. Anyways, it might be one of those things.
I'm sorry, I was reading the news over
Kevin
here.
James says it to us, Leno. But anyways. Anyway, so like, they had this new thing where the anomaly is like Kevin James is sort of like a chunky guy from Long Island that is a Mets fan that gets somehow inexplicably hitched with a woman that's way hotter than him. And that was the thing. And then they brought back his wife from the show, Leah Remini from King of Queens, for like a guest appearance, and everyone was like, oh, that was so great. That was so great. So cool. I think she played like an old love interest. It was one of those things that people wanted to see. Well, they decided people wanted to see it so badly, they're killing off his wife and replacing her with Leah Remini.
Ah, nice.
Yeah, that's crazy. I think they'll explain in the next episode that she was crushed to death when Kevin rolled over her in his sleep. What else?
Hip-hop is now more popular in the United States than rock and roll.
I heard that. You got to bear in mind, though, the survey has a margin of error plus or minus Utah.
Hey, hip-hop's huge there. So
Have you been to Utah recently?
Not recently. But everyone that I've met that's from Utah is like, yo, you get the new thing? Hip-hop song? And
my Funkhouser. Is that how people who are down talk? Did you like?
No, those are
Utah
people
one?
from Utah talk.
Did you like?
Yes, I loved it. I went to the national parks, and it's a beautiful, beautiful place. I spent one day there once.
Oh, very good, very good. Yeah, I like Utah. I spent some time in Utah. It's all white.
Yeah, okay.
Go on.
Brian Johnson from ICDC rolled his car during a race over the weekend.
Yeah, he's fine. He's still nursing the scar in his back from where the rest of the band stabbed him earlier this year, but he'll do okay. Actually, I think that kind of got blown out of proportion. I think he was bummed out about it, but look, unlike the Biebs and unlike Kanye, they didn't bail on their tour. They went, ooh, our singer can't do what he's supposed to be able to do, so let's instead figure out a solution. And they got Axl Rose in. But apparently they might not have been super clear about his future in the band. Now, he might not be able to be on tour. The reason he wasn't able to tour anymore was he's having problems with his ears. And apparently, I think it was from racing cars. It wasn't from being around music. But he had problems with his ears where, like, his doctor's like, you can't tour. You can't be around live sound. You can record in the studio still, but you can't go on tour. Apparently, there's some improvement in his situation, though. But it's one of those things, man. It is one of those things which made me incredibly glad that I'd seen AC/DC in the past. Like, I managed to catch them a few years ago, one of my favorite bands of all time, and I'd never seen them, and I saw them, and it was unfreaking believable. I didn't have very good seats, but it didn't matter. I got goosebumps from the moment they came out on stage till the moment they left, and I will be glad until the day that I die that I got to see AC/DC do it and do it right. So a lot of these artists that you like, if you get a chance to see them, take it. Do it now. Music is special, and you don't want to lose your opportunity to have a special connection with it. That stuff will last for a lifetime.
Leave the stimulation to the professionals.
Everyone is so smart.
KPRC, more stimulating talk radio.
There's something happening here, and you should know what it is.
The Dumbing Up of America. Now, more AD on the radio.
So, Funkhouser, how much time do we have?
This is the last one here.
Mm-hmm. This is the last one, because I really want to talk about this idea of buying a piece of Wiz Khalifa's songs. Like, did you know you can do this?
I love the idea.
We'll get into it. Yeah, I love the idea too. And you know what? Like I said, David Bowie kind of came up with the idea, I think, back in the 90s. He sold off bits of his catalog like a financial commodity, which is exactly what it is. Look, Kurt Cobain came up with a bunch of songs in the late 80s and early 90s that were, well, as it turns out, worth a lot of money at that time. Now, as time has gone on, the value of his catalog has only increased. So if you were able to buy a share of Nirvana's music back in the day, you would be experiencing big, big returns now. And with the way that artistry, media, music in general has changed and shifted, like it's not surprising that stuff like this is happening, but it's just mind blowing to see it actually come to fruition. Like, this is one of those things that you thought about, you talked about for a long time, and now it's actually a thing. We'll get into it after we roll through what remains of the news.
David Crosby has a new song. It's called Sell Me a Diamond.
Oh, from Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young. Yeah, Sell Me a Diamond. I think he's also releasing a follow-up song, so I can trade that diamond for a bunch of cocaine. That guy parties hard still to this day, I think.
Amber Rose says she wants to get a breast reduction.
Oh, man. Are you into Amber Rose?
I'm going to look her up right now.
What, you don't know who she is?
I can't remember.
She's like, I guess, a video vixen or something like that.
Oh, yeah, okay. I'm
she
into
was
her.
With, like, Kanye West and like a bunch, like Yeah. Suddenly
Controversy.
less attractive, right? I got to tell you, physically, bazinga, as far as she's concerned. And, there's some other stuff that I like about her. It's distracting. The Kanye thing is distracting. Not that this is any real problem. Not that this is any sort of real world problem for me. It's not like I have a relationship with Amber Rose and it's suffering because of her previous relationship with Kanye West, despite our best intentions. She doesn't know who I am and never will. So there's that. But, physically, I look at her and go, oh, man, why would you want to change that? That is pretty awesome. But you know what? It's her body. You know what I've noticed, though? I think hers are real. It seems to have become a bit of a trend where women take their breast implants out and hold them up on Facebook and say, this is now out of my body. I'm de-augmenting. I know, not in the biblical sense, several girls that have, they were, I guess, girls when they decided to get the implants, and now they're women. They feel like they don't need the implants, and getting rid of them seems to be this sort of across the board empowering thing. It's an interesting one, to be sure. And look, it's not my body. I didn't make a choice to put a piece of plastic in it for the sake of being more attractive, whether that attractiveness was really for you or whether it was for other people or whatever the case may be. But it's an interesting one. It's very, very sort of telling when something like that catches fire. There you go.
LA is going to host the 2028 Summer Olympics after Paris hosted in 2024.
Which gives them 4 years to make the Olympic torch stop smelling like BO.
They just need better deodorant or something.
No, they just need to wear it. They've got it. It's just sort of and you know what? Maybe it's a healthy thing. Maybe it is. We don't want to cover up our natural whatever by I remember going to France as a kid and being like, all these women have hairy armpits. That's different. And I wasn't passing judgment, but I just noticed it was different. By the same token, whenever I am out by the pool and I see a really sort of portly, unbelievably hairy man in the teeny tiniest of all Speedos, when he starts speaking and has a French accent, I am wildly unsurprised. There just seems to be a level of acceptance for one's natural state there that doesn't necessarily exist other places. And in some ways, I think that could be a very positive thing when it comes to your olfactory sensibilities. It could be a little bit jarring. But they're probably if an entire country doesn't wear deodorant, they're not going to notice it. You notice this stuff. You become accustomed to stuff. It was funny because I remember taking a cab once. In England, and I was with my Indian friend, and I was like, that cab really, was that guy's BO? I didn't even think that my friend was Indian and my cab driver was Indian, but I was like, that guy stank, man. That guy really smelled bad. What the hell was up with that? And he took it personally because he was from India. He was like, what? You don't like the way people from India smell? I was like, didn't even occur to me that he was from India. It just stank to high freaking heaven. And he was like, okay, look, that's spices. That's sort of like the cooking of the food that guy likes to eat coming out through his pores, and you're not familiar with it, and you're not familiar with it, so you don't know what to make of it, and it's offensive to your nose. I was like, all right, well, I'm not trying to be racist about it. The guy just stank. He was like, you want to know what you smell like to him and to me? I was like, what do you mean what I smell like? I smell clean. And he was like, you might be clean, but you stink of sour milk. I was like, you what now? And he was like, yeah, we have almost no dairy in traditional Indian cooking. It's just not a thing. We don't do the cheese. We don't do the milk. We don't do all of these things. And because you guys do, when we get into a cab with you or a car with you, we kind of have to double check ourselves because you stink of sour milk. It's a very interesting conversation. Yeah. I was like, sorry. I was like, even I stink of sour milk? He was like, even you stink of sour milk. I was like, but I'm so clean. He's like, that's not part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Go on.
Don't ask me what I smell like now, because it's hot here. Probably all of it.
Right.
And NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell said football players live longer on average than non-football players.
Right, yeah. They live longer. When you're a football player, you live longer. And by the way, if you're not familiar with the back and forth, this is the debate about some serious health concerns with regard to playing football. And NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell said playing football is healthy. People should play football. People should watch football being played. Don't you know that football players live longer on average than non-football players? Right. Well, sure. They just don't know it. Go on.
Scaramucci said he wouldn't do Dancing with the Stars because he doesn't know how to dance.
Yeah, like the guy had, as I said, 10 days in office and one Scaramucci of time in the political spotlight before he even started his job. His speaking price has now gone up to $75,000 a pop, and he's got an offer to do Dancing with the Stars. He said he wouldn't do it, though, because he doesn't know how to dance. Of course, if he could do what he says Steve Bannon does, he could easily be on America's Got Talent.
The Mooch also says once the sale of his company goes through, he's going to pay millions of dollars in taxes.
He's going to pay millions in taxes? No. Well, there's another reason he wasn't qualified to work in the Trump White House. You're worth $85 million and you pay taxes? You don't belong here.
Hey, Kid Rock is here. Kid Rock, he says if he runs for Senate, it's game over.
Right, for democracy, sure. I mean, like...
Or maybe he says, it's game over!
I like Kid Rock. And you know what? I honestly believe that Kid Rock... I loved it when Kid Rock went on CNN. I loved that Kid Rock was willing to change his political stance based on what he felt was right. A lot of people associate Kid Rock with Donald Trump. Well, you know what? He endorsed and supported and helped Barack Obama campaign. And then didn't like Barack's first term, bailed on him, supported Mitt Romney, endorsed Mitt Romney in the next election. And people asked him about this. He's like, well, you know, I like one guy and not the other. I liked Obama, but then I felt like he didn't really hold up his end of the deal, and I didn't feel comfortable. We're still cool, but I was hoping somebody else would get elected. I mean, it's just politics. It shouldn't stop us from being friends. And the fact that Kid Rock, the Stone Cold Pimp of the Nation, Mr. Ba, I am the Bull God, that guy became the voice of reason, saying, hey, it's not that big a deal. It's just, you know, who you voted for shouldn't stop you from having friends and being friends with people. The fact that he's that level of common sense, and I'll be interested to see if he maintains that cool-headed level of common sense moving forward as he's running for Senate. But that level of common sense is a cool thing. Is he qualified to be a senator? I don't know, but he's done unbelievable things for the city of Detroit and for the people of Michigan. He saved Detroit's classical music program. He gives a ton of money back to society, and he's the kind of guy that could win because he's going to run on the Republican ticket, obviously, and he's done so much for people in every facet of Detroit's community that he's going to pull from every ethnicity. He helped people out. He was a guy that broke down barriers with his music and just the way he went through life. And for that reason, I think he could wind up winning the thing. And a lot of people say this is a joke, this is a goof, this is a marketing plan. He's like, I'm running for Senate and I'm releasing an album. This is marketing 101. He's just honest about how he's doing it. Will he truly serve the people when he's focused on his career? Will he be able to? I don't know. I don't know the answers to these questions, but I can tell you this. I think he legitimately cares, and I think he could legitimately win if he sets his mind to it. Kid Rock has a lot of fans, especially in Michigan. True story. Hey, how much time do we have, Funkhouser?
2 minutos.
All right, so let's talk about how you could own a piece of Wiz Khalifa's music. And like I said, David Bowie sold off bits of his catalog ages and ages ago, and people thought this is crazy. And now it's become the norm. It's just another way in which David Bowie is smarter and more forward thinking than artists that came before him or will come after him. See You Again by Wiz Khalifa and Charlie Puth. Massive hit since it came out 2 years ago as part of the Furious 7 soundtrack, and now you can own a piece of it. You just got to pay. An unnamed background singer on the track is auctioning off his royalty share through a site called Royalty Exchange, which basically connects musicians with investors who are interested in acquiring royalty income. So this is a thing. The auction is open, and I think the last time we checked, the highest bid was $34,000. So
good.
how long would it take for you, Funkhouser, to make back that initial investment? Say you have $34,000 burning a hole in your pocket, and you want to buy that royalty share of Wiz Khalifa's "See You Again"
For this song?
Yeah.
How long would it take to get the money back?
Okay, so it's not a huge share, and it's unclear what the percentage of the cut is. But according to the listing, it's paid out $11,000 in the last year. So it's a share that's going for $34,000. So if you can buy something for $34,000 and every year you hold on to it, it gives you $11,000. Now, look, the song's going to ebb and flow in popularity. And, you know, when that movie hits cable, you're going to make more. And when that movie is off cable, you're going to make less. But it's interesting. You'd own a share forever because the copyright is good until the author's death.
We should
plus
do it.
70 years. It's unclear whether what the backup singer's death or the songwriter's would mean in that case. But either way, it's going to be a long time, and you get 100% of the seller's interest in domestic royalties, 30% of what the share makes internationally. I think we should buy it. Do you have $34,000, Funkhouser?
I can make some calls.
Because I don't.
Wonderful.